What's up, everybody? This is Football at the Bar, and we're your host. I'm
Indeed
TA.
It is. This is G Money.
And we are back at you.
We're
brought to you by ATB Media Network. And man, very fired up. This has been an unbelievable week of football.
I'm excited.
Probably one of the best ones of the season. Just got off of a killer Monday night game. I hope all of you had the opportunity to watch those shenanigans. You wouldn't have known that the Bills versus the Broncos were going to be cracking like that. But that game was absolutely cracking. Low scoring, but so much action how that game finished. You gotta love this game. Now, before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Subscribe, like, download the shows. We're having a ball. We're ready to talk.
All right, what we drinking on, bro? What we drinking on?
Well, what are you drinking on? Because I know what I'm drinking on.
Oh, man, I don't even know how to say this guy's name. What is it? Shenanigans?
Duncan Taylor, I think.
Duncan Taylor.
Obviously, he's been having a couple drinks already. For me, I'm drinking something called Decortet. Little French cognac right now, and it is very nice.
And maybe it's Decortet.
It could be Decortet as well.
You know, hey, the French part.
French part. But, I got to get it started because this weekend, I think there's a new sheriff in town. I think we've seen a changing of the guard.
Have you?
I mean, when CJ Shroud probably is delivering one of the, if not the very best rookies of the year for quarterback.
Look, you made me close my eyes when you said it because I was thinking to myself, yeah, man, CJ Shroud has been that dude, man. I couldn't fathom that a rookie would be able to perform and deliver just a clutch performance. It was really about him being clutch. He threw the interception late, and by all intents and purposes, every NFL team that we've ever seen, especially quarterback included, that has thrown a turnover late has found a way to wet that bed, and everybody would have been okay with it. Mm. But he messed around and won that thing.
You know what that's called? The clutch gene.
Ooh. Now, I hear a lot of hype is like now all of a sudden he might be the MVP contender. Do you think he's the MVP right now?
Well, I don't know if he's quite the MVP. I think he is beginning to really make that case. But what we've seen is this past week, yesterday, was not his first time coming back. He's actually done that several times. And what really brings him into the MVP conversation is the amount of touchdowns that he's thrown, which I believe is somewhere around 15, and only 2 interceptions.
Only 2.
So again, when you look at not just that type of performance or that type of efficiency while playing, but also with the team and the weapons that he has. We got to remember that he played against a team that had Chase, which is arguably top 3, top 5 wide receiver. You have Higgins that was out, but Joe Burrow gets to play with another number 1 receiver, and then Boyd, who's been consistent throughout his entire career. He gets to play with that type of ensemble. You know who my man Stroud is playing with? His number 1 receiver is Collins. Wouldn't even start on the Bengals. He would have been the 4th or 5th wide receiver on the Bengals, and that's his number 1, and he wasn't even playing. You got Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, who has been jumped the shark. He's been past his...
You were really watching that game.
Past his time, and then you have a rookie called Tank Dell and Dallas's last year's 4th wide receiver in Brown. That is his ensemble of weapons, and he outdueled the great Joe Burrow.
And I like Joe Burrow too. See,
me too.
Joe Burrow got that little bit of swag and that little bit of, dare I say, gangster. I know we throw that around a lot, but the truth of the matter is that it's just about the confidence that a quarterback plays with, and Joe Burrow has it. But getting back to CJ has proven as a rookie that he can read defenses quickly. And I think that is the biggest transition for all rookie quarterbacks. And we've seen that some of them do it well and some of them do it not so well. Mm-hmm. And yes, he probably has a pretty good offensive line because, Houston has been terrible for a long time. So they've certainly gotten enough.
They have one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah, I know. But I think a lot of them looking good is because of him, because I think that he has that anywhere between 2.5 to 3 seconds to where he has to read an entire defense and understand if it's cover 2, cover 3, man, whatever. He's able to do that and then discern who his outlet position is or who his deep shot is, and he does it. And I have yet to see that out of a rookie. I don't think we've actually seen that from a rookie that is not having the physical ability to dominate a team. Like Michael Vick would just say, oh, okay, screw it. I don't understand everything. I'm going to just run because I run a 4-3, right? He doesn't do any of that. I'm still in there reading the whole field and boop, 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 bing, there it is. And he delivers it. It's very impressive.
And it's funny. You had some negative talk about CJ going into the draft situation. One
That's
with
true.
the S2 test, and they're wondering if he was going to be cognitively strong enough to sit over here.
Ooh, that is always your soapbox. You love to talk about
because those tests are bullshit. But if you listen to the people that knew him coming up from high school, like Bucky Brooks, there are some old players that knew about him from high school, that going through the camps and what have you, that knew how special he was. And obviously his stats at Ohio State were absolutely phenomenal. But Ohio State has been deemed before him as a team that couldn't produce a quality NFL quarterback, and we saw that myth being blown to shreds. What we see by him is something that we haven't seen thus far, not even from Mahomes. Mahomes didn't even play his rookie year. And what I do believe is this was a passing of a torch. This was a changing of the guard.
You feel that strong about
unequivocally. Because we're seeing it done consistently. And let me tell you something. Burrow wasn't sit over here and considered an MVP possible candidate in his rookie year. And nobody thought he was either. Remember, everybody thought this team was going to be shitty this year, and it's solely based off of him, or not solely. It's a great portion of this is based off of him.
A perfect mix
and with the coach, and so it shows you how important good coaching is, because we have a good coach that's come there that's completely got this team feeling and believing like they can win. They're sharp, they're on point. And so when you bring all these things together, you have a team that's not breath with talent, but you have a very talented quarterback that's elevating the play of their
just their overall
team. But really, it's like, how do you really define his weapons? I mean, he didn't even have a starting running back with him. He had his backup running back, which was Singletary, that had 175 yards, if I'm not mistaken, 150, 175 yards. All of this is based off of his prowess, off of his execution, off of his efficiency.
Yeah. I have to agree. The bottom line is, from my perspective, look, he doesn't have any proven weapons, but the NFL is what have you done for me lately league. So what it really is that he has guys that have all of the physical tools, because they wouldn't even make it to this level if they didn't have the physical tools. But he doesn't have anybody that's tried and true and proven on his squad. Collins, even
Nico Collins
is
you heard him before this year?
No.
Tank Dell, 5'6", 165 pounds, rookie. Bobby Trees.
Yeah.
We know he's in geriatrics. Put him in retirement.
Hey, man, you making me want to say, raise the roof over here. Okay, I'm over here like a woman who's wearing white gloves in the church. Just, okay, yes. Praise Jesus. But you're right. But the bottom line is that none of these guys were proven. And that's the amazing thing about him. He has been able to elevate everybody's performance. And he's just said, hey, man, you guys latch on to me, come with me, and we're going to deliver. And your career and my career are linked lockstep, and we're about to do this damn thing. And we're about to shake up the world. And guess what? CJ is doing it. I didn't think it was going to happen. Well, not this year.
Let me give you a bold take, because I think it's possible, after we watched how the Jags shit the bed this week against San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. But that was...
And Trevor Lawrence sitting over here in his third year, still not elevating up to what all the pundits and everybody said he was going to be in terms of a generational quarterback. CJ Shroud, in my opinion, and from the eye test, looks better than him right now as a rookie.
He does.
And this generational talent
Without a doubt.
looks in his third year. So my bold take is that the Texans are going to actually catch the Jags, win that division,
Tell it,
be in the top 4 seeding, and win a playoff game. And
look, Houston loves you for that. I will just say.
And guess what? I used to live there. So what I'm saying is that I believe if we continue to see this high level of play from him and the team continuously coalescing around him, that we're looking at probably, I can't think of a time of a rookie being the MVP. And so now we will have Mahomes and we will have Stroud. He will jump over all the believers of Joe Burrow. He will jump over Josh Allen. Everybody talking about Josh Allen was better than Mahomes. He's going to leapfrog all of them, and then we're looking at the 2 top quarterbacks in the NFL.
Well, you know what? I can't say that you're wrong. It is a forecast. It is a prognostication. But I can't say that you're wrong.
It's a hot take.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that too. But I can't say that you're wrong. And it's interesting that you bring up Jacksonville because, see, Jacksonville is interesting because they've had the same amount of sexiness. They had Zay Jones. They got, Kirk. They Ridley.
ATN.
Yeah, all of them.
Ingram.
On paper, this is supposed to be their swan song. But guess what? Houston is ruining that story for them. And when you look at team schedules, yeah, maybe they run into a couple of guys, but then you have to say, maybe that quarterback who looks like he's a Disney character, he might not be the prince. Yeah, he might not be.
Oh my God.
Because, he got the long hair and that. We all know what he looked like. But he might not be that guy. And CJ Shroud is proving that he is worthy of it.
Now, I don't want to disrespect Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence isn't boo-boo. But he's not great. I think we're having the opportunity to recognize greatness unfold right in front of our eyes. But look, we've talked about one great quarterback that's been a rookie. Let's talk about a quarterback that's making his comeback this week.
Oh, I already know where you're going.
That I'm excited to see because this is a person that's kind of been tossed to the side, tossed to the trash. And just a year ago, he was in the MVP conversation. He was a number 1 pick, won the Heisman Trophy, and now people want to bloviate that he should be cast aside and they should just get a new quarterback.
Go ahead and say his name.
Absolutely.
Say his name.
What is his name? Kyler's back.
Oh, there it is.
He is back. And we had the opportunity to see him after a year of rehab, coming back from an ACL injury.
Yeah.
And he came back. And you know what was great is that, one, they won the game. But number 2, you saw him out there running. He was playing without fear. Most people that come back from an injury like that are a little bit skittish. It usually takes them a few games, if not an entire year, to get back to their previous self. But we saw Kyler out there running, and that's part of what makes him special. Elevating that team, that everybody loves. Agreed. Josh Dobbs, but he couldn't do what Kyler did for that team, which shows you there's levels to this shit.
Well,
and took that team to a win.
And you also see why they traded Dobbs because Dobbs was very productive, but they just said, you know what, this is probably unfair to Dobbs because we know we got this gem in our coffers, and we need to make a decision.
Do they really think he's a gem?
Well, here's
that's
the
yet
thing.
To be seen.
I disagree only in this one regard. Look, the man runs a 4.3. He might be 4.3.
Little midget there.
But he runs a 4.3. And he can read defenses a la Doug Flutie. And yeah, he's got small receivers and he's got all these things marginally against him. But the bottom line is he throws the ball like a rocket out of his arm, and he runs a 4.3. So if you have Josh Dobbs there, who's the rocket scientist, the super smart guy, we need to allow him to have an opportunity. And injury only allowed for that to really take place. So I actually commend Arizona for just saying, "Hey, man, let me move Josh Dobbs to a team that is actually trying to play for something. And because I've got my rock star here, and the only thing you will do with us is hold a clipboard." So because we need to make a decision. Arizona needs to make a decision. Are we going to stay with Kyler Murray, or are we going to say we're going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes?
And that's a question.
Really,
what do you think the team wants? I have some thoughts on that, but tell me, what do you think the team wants? Do you think they want to stay with Kyler? And I don't think trading Josh Dobbs is any indication on what they want to do. What do you think? Do you think Kyler's going to be there next year? Or do you think they're going to sit over and try to move him like they did earlier in the season? They tried to move him to Atlanta and pick somebody early in the
I
draft.
think that the contract that he signed mandates that they have him as their quarterback next year. Now, if he came out here and he wet the bed, that they would have to eat crow. And they would have to suck up, I don't know, somewhere around $30 million to basically say, we're going to do away with this guy. And they would draft a quarterback.
And that's not that much money. $30 million when you look at a $250 million budget. No, $250 million cap next year. $30 million is not that much to eat when you would be sitting over here and bringing in a rookie quarterback.
Okay.
So my thought process is I think he has an opportunity to play the team out of that type of sweepstakes.
Sure.
So if Kyler is able to sit over here and amass another 3 or 4 wins before the end of the season, where they're not going to be in that top 5, because remember, they have some extra draft capital because they made the trade in the draft last year with the Texans. So they have some extra draft capital. So if Kyler can get them those extra 3 or 4 wins with the 2 wins that they already have, they're going to be outside of that top 5.
Right.
So I don't think that they would be in a position to get one of those quarterbacks, and I think they would stick with Kyler.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I just think, like you said, they are 2-8. I was going to say 3-8, maybe, but they're 2-8, right?
2-8.
They're 2-8. And we all can say they're going to have a losing season. But if Kyler is able to just say, hey, I'm that dude for the next 3 or 4 weeks, he didn't even have to do it for the rest of the season. He just needs to be able to put together, outside of this victory that they just had, another 3 or 4 wins that'll just say, hey, I'm that dude. And if you give me a viable receiver and or tight end that we can run with it.
Well, they have a great tight end. You saw what McBride did this past week, a Biletnikoff winner, which is the number 1 tight end in all of NCAA. He had 130 yards this past week.
I see you doing your research.
I do my research.
Snap-a-dabble.
And he's already put Ertz on the bench. So they already have a great tight end. But with their 2 first-round picks that they have available to them, if they do fall out of that top 5 and maybe are closer to 8, 9, or 10, now they have an opportunity to pick up 2 significant pieces in the first round to really put some weapons, because right now they don't really have any weapons. You have Marquise Brown, who's not a true number 1.
No, and he's a fast, small guy.
Light in the booty, sliding the ass. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They need a Metcalf. They need a Brown. They need a big, a physically opposing wide receiver to kind of like accentuate Kyler Murray, or they need to just say, scrap it, and we're going to take those 2 draft picks and move up to number 1 and get Caleb Williams. I think it has to be Caleb Williams, and just say, oh, we're going to start over. But the way that Kyler has an opportunity right now.
Right.
And so really it is that he needs to just say, I'm that dude, and damn you, and I don't care if I play video games all day. I know how to read defenses. I know how to study, and I run a 4-3 and just build around me. And that's why he came back. And he delivered on the first
I'll tell you
week.
this. I believe that Kyler feels a sense of urgency, that proverbial fire that's under his booty, to sit over here and go out there and play. He played with a sense of urgency. He is a competitor, but people doubted his competitiveness. And I think that he's heard all of the talk that surrounded him over the past year.
And he's tired of it.
And he's going to go out there and play. And that right there is that fire, is that competitiveness that you need to have in a top QB. But I will tell you this: is I'm offended. I'm offended because we heard about dumping this man and going to get another quarterback when he was just up for an MVP. And we don't see that. We never saw that for Daniel Jones. All we heard was excuses of, we don't know what he is because he hasn't had any weapons around him. He's had multiple coaches over his tenure. We heard every single excuse for his ineptness, and he was never, ever in the MVP conversation. But with this individual that had a great year 2 years ago, they want to talk about dumping him. So I really look forward to Kyler stepping up and not allowing the naysayers to sit over and be proven correct.
I would, if I were to, let's say, project forward, I think that you're right. I think that Kyler will show improve. If I were to like just say, hey, man, well, I'm going to take a educated guess, I think Kyler is about to be like, I'm gonna show you motherfuckers.
Hey, you know who said?
Watch out.
You know who said I'm gonna show you motherfuckers and it's getting it done? Your boy. And you know what? I had to give you a high five, brother, because I know you feel good. Your boys have won 2 games in a row. Our man Antonio Pierce with the Raiders, new head coach. I know you're excited.
Say it again.
The new head coach, and again, has brought 2 wins in a row since he's taken over. We've seen a complete transformation in this team, just in the energy that he brings to the table, the energy that he infuses into his players,
Raider Nation,
what they're willing to give back to not just him, but to the actual franchise and to the fans. So for you, the question is just with these 2 wins, has Antonio Pierce done enough, in your opinion, to remain as the Raiders head coach?
Yes, and Mark Davis, pay attention to me. Okay? You messed up when you didn't hire, what's his name? Versace. Sorry if I brutalized your name, sir. Because I understand, because you were a special teams coach.
Yep.
Offensive line coach or special teams coach, one of them. But that does not sound sexy. So, but at the end of the day, what I got to give credit to Versace is he was a leader of men. And what we understand by pigeon nuts is that he was not a leader of men. And when you are in
pigeon nuts is McDaniels for everybody.
Yes, I refuse to call him by his name. His name is Pigeon Nuts McGee. Okay, now, but the point is that Antonio Pierce came in and just said, hey, look, I remember 83. I remember when we won the Super Bowl, and he's like us. He came up. It was NWA. It was the Raiders in the hat.
He's from the West. He's from the West Coast.
And we wearing the satin Raider starter jackets. With the Raider crest on it, which they need to bring back, by the way, but I disclaim. So he understands what it is about. It's about that attitude. It's about that bravado. It's about that discipline. It's about that emphasis on details and aggression. And he has brought that back to my team, and God bless him. I would say all maybe of the Raider Nation has been waiting for that. We've been waiting for somebody to say, "No, fuck that. We about to do it."
I would agree.
And he brought it. He brought it.
Now here's what's interesting. We have 2 tough games, or the Raiders have 2 tough games coming up.
We might go 0-2.
We might go 0-2.
But whatever.
But it's not about necessarily winning these 2 games, because they're playing against the Miami Dolphins that are coming off of a bye
on the road,
flying across
against
country,
Cheetah.
And then they're playing the Chiefs.
Yeah,
but see,
at home though.
At home. The Chiefs at home, or
the Chiefs. The next game after Miami on the road is Chiefs at home, and I would say if we are able to successfully win one of those two games,
It's locked in.
I
Right
would
now, take
say
a picture.
Antonio Pierce can lose the rest of the games for the rest of the season. If he's able to achieve that, even though I know he won't lose the rest of the games, but if he's able to achieve that, he should be the head coach. Period. End of story.
And for me, I don't necessarily like. Obviously, I wouldn't bet that he could win either one of those games. But it's about the showing. It's about how the team looks, how the team performs. What is their energy level in those games?
Yeah.
And do they walk through those doors when they're running onto the field? Do they come onto the field with a sense that they can win?
Yeah.
And I believe we're going to be able to see that as being fans, being, from the outside looking in. And I believe that energy that he's already exuded and shown that he's infused into the team.
I agree.
When we want to see that on the field against these two top teams in the conference and make these games uber competitive. They don't have to win them. Just be competitive. Look like you deserve to be on the field with the Dolphins. Look like you deserve to be on the field with the Chiefs. And I believe he's going to do that. I think Max, and to be perfectly honest with you, for a long shot bet, I believe that they have a chance to beat one of the two. Not both, definitely. But I think they can catch one of the two slipping.
I will agree with you because I just got finished saying I think that we're going to lose both. But I think that the difference between, let's say, 3 weeks ago and today is that I actually believe that there's a puncher's chance for us to win one, if not both of those games. And yes, it is a hedged bet. And yes, it is, dare I say, elite because it's going against conventional wisdom when you start talking about the fact that I said, okay, all right, a guy is running a 4.3. Cheetah might run a 3.9. Yeah, like that dude is ludicrous speed.
Right.
And he's always whooped the Raiders' ass, and we're thin in our secondary. So everything is stacked against us. However, the attitude, the want to has been brought forth by this coach. And you can't minimize that. There's a certain desire and there's a certain kind of fire that has come with this team that didn't exist before because they didn't have anybody that they believed in. So, there can be an average guy who might be able to step up in the moment because now we believe. And that's all Raider fans really wanted was somebody that we could believe in. That's all the players wanted, somebody we could believe in. And you can believe in your boy Pierce.
Now, here's where the opportunity lies. And it's not for the Raiders organization per se, it's for an individual. It's Aiden O'Connell. You want to sit over here and solidify yourself as being the future for this franchise? Play great. Play mistake-free football. Play with confidence. Execute and be efficient in these next two games, Mr. Aiden O'Connell. If you can do that, then that score is going to be close. Even if you lose both of them, the team, the organization, the fans can live with taking those two losses.
Go ahead and wish on a star.
Well, no.
We can do it, though. We can do it.
Well, again, it's area and opportunity. It's just like a fight. It's area and opportunity. The reality is Aiden can play within himself. If the coach can sit over here and keep him calm, keep him relaxed, keep him not trying to do more than what he needs to do. You slow that game down by just running the ball and keeping possession as much as possible and limiting the chances of him making mistakes. Because the reality is he's going up against Vic Fangio and that Miami defense, and he's going against, in my opinion, one of the top three defenses in Kansas City. So the only way to sit over here and stop yourself from sitting over here and fucking up is by slowing the game down.
Yes.
And so it's on him. I'm excited for that opportunity for him. I hope he knows that this is an opportunity for him to make that determining factor of if he's going to be moving forward past this season to be a starting quarterback in this league, or is he going to be deemed a backup? And let me tell you something. The Raiders sense what they have brewing here. And if he can't get it done, if he looks like a buffoon, if he looks like the stage is too big for him, they're going to move past him.
Yep.
This is the proving grounds right here, right now, these next 2 weeks to give him an opportunity.
The biggest 2 weeks of his life.
The biggest 2 weeks of at least his career.
Of his career.
So guess what? As me not being necessarily a Raiders fan, I am cheering for Pierce. I am cheering for you because I know how much pain and anguish you had to deal with over the course of your life, and I've made fun of most of that pain and anguish throughout these years. But I really see an opportunity for you to sit over here and get.
Man, and you know what? And that feels. Listen, my heart is just warmed. I just feel like a Care Bear stare. I'm just like, oh man, thank you. But what I will say is, since you brought up O'Connell, I will say this before we go to the next topic. Aiden O'Connell, very simply, and you said it so eloquently, but what he really needs to understand is this one simple thing. He holds the ball too long. So he needs to, when you're in the red zone, check down. The reason why he's turned the ball over is not because he can't read defenses or read the field. It's that he's holding it for more than 3 or 4 seconds. And he needs to realize that when it's zone, especially in the red zone, throw the check down, bro. Mm-hmm. So if you have a check down and the check down is Jacobs, give it to Jacobs. Mm-hmm. If the check down is the tight end running in the flat, give it there because you literally have 2.5, maybe 3 seconds to make a decision. And when that decision goes into 4, bad things happen. And so as long as when you understand that as a quarterback, then you'll be fine. He just has a tendency, and we saw it in the Jets game. Mm-hmm. He just was holding the ball, trying to say, oh, Jacoby Myers might get open, or Devontae Adams might get open. No, motherfucker, they're not going to be open in time.
But that's a testament
Throw the
to
check
coaching.
down.
That's a testament to again what we've been talking about. If Antonio Pierce is the man, he's going to be able to convey that message to where he understands
Throw
it.
The check down, motherfucker.
But look,
throw the check down.
We've been talking about Antonio Pierce taking over this team.
Yeah.
And you know what? And who he took over this team from was from an inept coach, a.k.a. Pigeon Nuts McGee.
Pigeon Nuts McGee.
Now, as we get into this back half of the season, and we are now heading into the playoffs and heading into the inevitable coaching turnover, what we're looking at is coaches above and beyond Pigeon Nuts McGee who are on the hot seat.
Ooh,
so
there's a couple.
You know, I'm excited to talk about this. I love talking about this because change, in my opinion, is a good thing. Change plus challenge equals opportunity. I always teach people that change plus challenge equals opportunity.
Oh, listen.
And whenever there's a change with an organization and the coaching,
give it to me.
Be challenge, which brings a huge opportunity. So I will tell you this. There are some coaches out here that are on the hot seat that their organizations are going to have the opportunity of fresh new blood coming in there. So for you, what are the coaches that are on that hot seat that it's their time to get up out of here and we need to infuse some new blood into an organization? Who are those coaches, in your opinion, that are on the hot seat right now?
Okay, so the first one that comes to mind is Brandon Staley. Because
Brandon Staley. And I love the Chargers, but Brandon Staley, hey,
listen,
time to go.
Their offense is phenomenal. Their defense is shitbag.
And guess what? He's a defensive coach.
And
He's an actual defense. He was
He
was a defensive coordinator taking this job, coming
Shut
from
your mouth.
the Fangio tree. Yeah.
Oh my God! Shut your mouth. Well, okay, then he needs to be fired. Duh.
Right now.
Yeah, mouse now.
Yeah.
About 2 days ago, he needs to be fired. If he is a defensive coach, then what is going on?
That's what's so scary about the Chargers. They brought him in there because he came from the Fangio tree and expected him to come. Remember, he came from the Fangio tree, but was the defensive coordinator for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl.
Well, the Fangio tree ain't jack then, because good Lord.
Well, what we found is, sometimes at the end of the day, it's just like Antonio Pierce, who we just talked about. You have to be leaders of men. And he can have all the technical prowess. He can have all the analytics.
I don't want to
sounds good. Can you sit over here and lead men?
Yeah.
And I don't know that he's been able to tap in to the dogs that he has on defense.
Yes, obviously they have talent, but what I think has been clear is they do not have, let's say, defensive tackles. And I think...
No, they brought in some new tackles this year.
Well, they ain't working.
They're not playing well. Right?
They not working.
Right.
And they're not getting that pressure. So then it's just Bosa and Khalil Mack trying to create that pressure. And then you have to say that their secondary has just been atrocious. So whether you want to say draft or free agent, they have been atrocious.
So do you think if you brought Flores in there, that defense would perform in the same fashion? I don't think so.
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. That the
you bring
Chargers,
Tomlin in there. You think the defense?
No.
So
my
point is that
Tomlin is going to get him
Flores too. He's done that with Minnesota. But what I'm saying is that this man is not a leader of men. He's not an inspirer of men. He doesn't get people sitting over ready to run through a brick wall.
Go ahead and tell me.
And that's his problem.
Okay.
Who's your number two? Who else do you think?
I hate to say this, but it's just the truth. Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick got to go.
Now, we all respect Bill Belichick, right?
Of course.
But you can't have a head coach being there for 20 years because your players have heard all your best shit.
And then
you understand what I'm saying?
The
message gets stale. And when you really think of it, you have people that were in Belichick's first year as a head coach that are now grandparents.
Now say that again.
You have people who were in Belichick's first year with the Patriots that are now grandparents. So when you think about that, the world is different. These players are different. The game is different. Things have changed.
These kids
and
are
I don't
on
necessarily believe that he's jumped the shark, because I believe if you take Bill Belichick and you drop him in with the Chargers and you bring they have some discipline there with his defensive prowess.
Well, I agree with you. I even thought that too.
Yeah, you have a phenomenal team. So what I do believe is that he's jumped the shark. He's past his prime with the team that he's been with for 20 years.
It's very interesting. We will not know with any certainty unless Bill Belichick does get fired and he does go to another team. Because right now, I think the only thing that is a saving grace for Bill Belichick is that you have accomplished so much as a winner that we just need to see you with actual semblance of talent. And right now, you're playing on a team that is devoid of talent, so we don't even know.
The challenge with that is that he was a general manager.
So he'll never be a general.
He's actually done the grocery shopping himself. So that's where the challenge, and that's part of the game passing. I'm giving you
the points like bing, bing, bing. You hitting on all the points.
The game is passed him by, unfortunately, or what it is passed him by in New England. I think his next job that he has to relinquish the going grocery shopping. You have to let somebody who is much more in tune into this new era of football to be able to get the players that are going to be successful, and just allow him to focus on just winning games. Because the reality is he's about a year and a half away from beating the all-time record for most wins by a coach.
Yeah.
And so to do that, you're going to have
Yeah,
to
who
give
is
up
it?
something.
Shula's record? Is it Shula's
record? So you're going to give up something so you can actually eclipse that record. And you controlling the grocery shopping, I don't believe that he's forgotten how to do this. I don't believe that he can't bring a lot to the table. He doesn't have the talent, but it's his fault. Why? When you let Jacoby Myers, who's with your Raiders, go to pay fucking Smith-Schuster the same money.
And you know what? And if I'm the owner of the Patriots, I'm like, all right, Bill.
He's already talking about all right, Bill. He's already giving this motherfucker the side eye.
I'm like, hey, listen, I don't have the same level of prostitutes that I used to have, God damn it.
Hey, the massages is getting light right now.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, the fire under both of those coaches is extremely, extremely high. And I can't foresee under any circumstances either of those two coaches moving forward into the next year.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely shocked and to be perfectly honest with you, sickened if these two coaches remained in their position moving forward. Now, I have a couple of other coaches.
Okay, give it to me.
The first coach I want to talk about is Ron Rivera, who again is another old school coach that I believe the game has passed him by. I believe the cancer has slowed him down a little bit because he was diagnosed with cancer.
It's an empathy figure too.
Right. And the reality is what he did is he brought old heads along with him to be his coordinators, not Bieniemy.
Bieniemy is actually
but
doing
his
a good
defensive coach is sitting over here, old head that used to be the Raiders coach. That again, the game has passed him by. He's old school mentality, and he hasn't changed his process and his approach on how you do it. In the NFL is different today than it was in 2010. In 2000, when these coaches were at their heyday. And guess what? Even more than that, the players are different now. So when it's just tough for all of us to evolve. It's tough for you and I to evolve coming from 70s babies, graduating in the 90s.
Listen,
and
we're just armchair judgers. But hey, I judged probably a good 10 years ago. I was a real good judge. Now I'm just giving it to you.
Things are different. But we have an opportunity when coaches sit over here and the game has passed them by, that we have an opportunity to sit over and bring in and infuse new blood. Now, the team has tried to do that with Eric Bieniemy, and I think we are definitely seeing fruits of that labor, I think, or of that decision.
Sure, because how for all their losses and or wins, Howell has been averaging somewhere around 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think maybe even 4 touchdowns.
Howell is leading the league in passing yards.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
So I mean, kudos to Bieniemy first and foremost, and then I got to get a little love to Howell because he's got to throw the motherfucker.
I think they found their quarterback. I think in the 5th round they found a 5th round quarterback that can lead their team. And
no doubt.
And are there some things for him to improve on? Of course, but I do not believe that Ron Rivera is the team to lead this organization into the future. And now they have a brand new owner that is going to sit over here and want to position this team to continue the offensive explosion.
Too, right?
Pardon me?
Magic is one of those owners.
Magic is a minority owner with him, yeah. And so Magic, come from winning all the way from a player to now as an owner with the Dodgers, and now as a part owner with this. They're about winning. And so Bieniemy comes from a culture and a mindset of winning. Remember in preseason, they were sitting over here, or in training camp, they were sitting there talking about Bieniemy was too hard on him. And Ron Rivera had the nerve to come out and
apologize
and kind of admonish Bieniemy for being hard-nosed, because guess what? He don't know how to win. He's never won at a high level. He's been to one Super Bowl. He's only went to playoffs every other year in his coaching tenure. So this isn't an individual this was when he was with Carolina. This isn't an individual that really knows what winning is at a high level. And so Bieniemy does. So if the team is smart, they'll go ahead and send him off to pasture and sit over and move Bieniemy there. Let Bieniemy bring in a nice young.
You said if they're smart.
If they're smart. You got to be smart to make these moves.
Yeah.
You got to be smart. You got to have some balls. If you don't have those two things, then what you're going to do is continue to stay with the same old shit and get the same result.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think that these billionaire ball player or owners, I would say ball players. Ball players also sound so old, like I'm from the 1950s.
Ball players,
but yeah, these owners that are expecting a different result are really insane, and they're very old school. And it's kind of like, okay, listen, you nor I nor anybody else is going to tell a billionaire what to do with his money. But what I will say is, do you want to win? Yes or no?
And hopefully Magic can tell this billionaire what the fuck to do with his money. You know what circumvents winning, unfortunately, is their need to feel comfortable. Because if winning was most important, then the losers of the Super Bowl, the offensive and defensive coordinators, the coordinators for the losing team of the Super Bowl, wouldn't have gotten head coaching jobs before the winning offensive coordinator of the Super Bowl. So if it was about winning,
preach,
then guess what? Bieniemy would be a head coach. But unfortunately, it's about them feeling comfortable, and they feel comfortable with individuals that look like him. Just a fact. But let me tell you another individual that is a perennial person that dwells in mediocrity, and that's Arthur Smith. He has proven that he's not a winner.
You have said this about, I want to say at least, this might be on 2 or 3 episodes, because I already know you do not like this dude.
You know why I don't like him? It's because when very few times do you have in the draft individuals that are universally recognized as true generational talents at the position or role that they're in. And this team has 2. And this motherfucker chooses not to put the ball in their hands. And so guess what? You don't got to be Einstein. You don't got to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a genius to understand that if I have Bijan Robinson and he's
give that motherfucker the ball,
they give him the motherfucking ball. And we don't have to go to week 10 before the first time you've ever given him the ball over 20 times in the game.
Okay.
And then we still have a tight end who was perceived as a generational talent that you haven't given him the ball in his entire career. You're going to waste your entire rookie. So for
give
me,
him the ball, ladies and gentlemen.
But guess what I just saw today on Twitter, also known as X, is that they're gonna the ownership is standing behind him. And you know why the ownership is standing behind this sorry motherfucker? Is because the owner is a billionaire and this motherfucker's daddy's a billionaire. His daddy is Fred Smith, who is the owner of FedEx.
Done your research.
I have. Who is the owner of FedEx, and they are buddies. And so they said the only way that they will let him go this year is if the team turns on him. So again, to absolve themselves of making the real, smart, hard decision of letting this sorry motherfucker go and bringing in actual somebody who knows what they're doing and then blame it on the players as a reason to let him go.
Who knew that you were a Falcons fan? Because good Lord,
I'm not a Falcons fan. You know what I'm a fan of?
I would not have known.
Because if Bijan was with any other team in the NFL, guess what he would be? He would probably be Rookie of the Year. If it wasn't for Stroud. Stroud's going to win Rookie of the Year. But if it wasn't for Stroud, he would win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He'd be 1A is what you said.
And guess what? Bijan's not going to win any rewards in his rookie season.
Because he only gets the ball
and neither did
2.5 carries, a couple of screen passes.
And the frustration, not just for me as a fan of talent, not just for the fans of Atlanta, not for the team that sits over here and gives everything they got, but this motherfucker sits over here and wants to think that he's smarter than everybody else. Fuck you and your privilege. Put the ball in people's hands.
We said privilege.
And put the ball in the people's hands that were fucking drafted by the leadership of the team.
All right. Well, ching ching and God bless and good night.
We're
done, ladies and gentlemen.
It affects me here.
Man. We're done.
When I see incompetence, when I see fucking mediocrity.
Say it with your chest.
When I just see that mediocrity and seeing how it affects people. You got to understand that these are two great players that their careers have been affected and they won't reach the heights. They won't get paid as much money as they deserve, as their talent deserves, because this motherfucker thinks he's smart. But anybody else you sit over here and deem as could be on that hot seat.
And there goes your TA take. Thug life. There it is. Look, he gave you a whole bar, a whole gold bar. Yak. So I'm good with it. Okay, I understand.
Is there any other people? Because I think McDermott needs to get the fuck up out of here. After we saw the collapse and the not you. Josh Allen's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and you could barely sit over and score 20 points against Denver.
Well, okay. So the only thing that I will say, and so when you say McDermott, this is the Bills coach, right?
Yes.
The Bills head coach. The only thing that I could say, let's say, to save him is he lost, I want to say 2, maybe even 3, like Pro Bowl level defensive players on his team. And it's so funny about the Bills because the Bills are like, they're like the Clippers, man. They just, it doesn't matter. You can get all the stars. You can get all the, but guess what, Bills? You be clopping. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what God you need to pray to, but because it's just a dark cloud over this team. And it's like, man, you finally got Miller back. You finally got the Hall of Famer back. But guess what? You lost your corner and you lost your super Pro Bowl, I'd say left or right linebacker. You know what I mean? It's just like, damn.
Well, let me educate you on some shit. A few years ago, we're talking about now we're talking about 6 years ago. Tyrod Taylor was a starting quarterback for the Bills. I don't even know if you remember that. Tyrod Taylor was a starting quarterback for the Bills, and he had them on a trajectory to go to the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. Do you know what McDermott did?
He said, get him about you.
Under the auspices of, I'm doing what's best for the team, he put in the backup quarterback and benched Tyrod Taylor, and they were on the cusp of making the playoffs.
Wow, is that how far way back we're going?
And so 5 motherfucking interceptions in the first half.
That sounds very Peterman.
Hey, 5 interceptions in the first half. So and then had to put Tyrod Taylor back in. Tyrod Taylor brought them within 3. They were down 33-0 at half. Tyrod Taylor brings them within 3 and almost won the game. Had to put them back in. And guess what? That one game almost cost them the playoffs. They ended up making the playoffs, losing in the first round, but that was the first time that team had been to the playoffs in 15 years, and this stupid motherfucker bitched the quarterback saying, I'm doing what's best for the team. That's when I knew he was a stone cold mystery.
And you know what? Just because I think that you're giving the narrative correctly. And I will say that because what I remember about those teams in those days, especially the Bills, because we've seen the Bills disasters happen every year, right? So all I would simply say is the Bills have traditionally said, oh, well, let me do the opposite of what is flying in the face of correctness. So what's flying in the face of correctness is we have won with this black mobile quarterback, even though he is traditionally a mobile quarterback. And this is before the advent of mobile quarterbacks being in vogue. So everybody has been trying to say, oh, I want a quarterback who knows how to read defenses and who can throw the ball in the pocket. But the league has now caught up to the addition of the necessity even of having a mobile quarterback. And Tyrod Taylor, unfortunately, his whole career has been about being in the margins. He has always been a quarterback who has been very good for a variety of teams, but they have always been in transition, and they have never allowed him to be the guy. And that's just an unfortunate thing about his career, but he's always been successful at being a mobile quarterback.
The point is that the coach, he was wrong then,
and he's wrong now.
and he's wrong now with the direction of this
Before
team.
it,
And
let me just say this one last little nugget. The thing that I think that you've brought up that is so poignant is Tyrod Taylor has always been a guy who has fixed the problem and has never gotten credit for it.
Never gotten fucked every single time.
He gets fucked every single time. And then the only thing that bumps him out is injury, but he always stays in the league because everybody says you're the fixer.
And you got fucked. You know how big his asshole must be?
Oh my God. I can't even imagine how many oh my God.
So let me tell you. So one other coach that I gotta sit over here and do a rant on is the Saints coach. I remember going into this season and they went and got Derek Carr. They were supposed to be the number one. I think they're number one.
Derek Carr is a hooker.
Derek Carr is a hooker, but
ladies and gentlemen,
their coach is a hooker. You're in one of the worst divisions in the entire league, and you're fucking 500. This is the Saints. And
Who that nation?
Who that nation? His name is Allen. And guess what? You need to get him up out of there because, again, he's a mediocre motherfucker that doesn't know how to win. That doesn't know how to win at a high level.
To your general overall point is you need to have an individual who can speak to the locker room and be able to influence the locker room.
Dan Campbell. I just brought up Dan Campbell. It just, popped up out of there. And so, there's a delineation that we're starting to recognize in the league of the contenders and the pretenders.
That's very
now,
true.
I personally think the Lions are a true, unadulterated contender.
I think, you feel that strong?
I feel they are a contender at 7-2. You goddamn right. Mahomes, a contender. Baltimore Ravens and Lamar, a contender. Who else do you sit over here and see as a contender?
Okay, so I'm going to go NFC, and I would say the 49ers have been somewhat forgotten because they had those 2 or 3 losses, right? But the 49ers, especially after making that trade.
Yes, I think that trade was huge.
Oh my God.
I think that might be the differentiating factor. Yes.
Yeah, it could potentially be. So 49ers to me are a genuine contender. Then the other, let's say, even though I think we say the 49ers are kind of obvious, right? But I would say the non-obvious contender, and I hate to say this, the Dallas Cowboys.
See, I think they're a pretender. I think they're a pretender.
Do you?
I want to love them, or I want to like them. I can never love the Cowboys. I want to like them. But if you can't beat real teams, you're a pretender.
Yeah, but here's the thing about the Cowboys. If you look at their schedule, they probably can easily win the next 3 games. So they just beat the Giants. and then they can win the next 3, and then it gets hard for them. Then they have to face the Eagles and the this and the that. And
can they win more than they lose?
Correct. So it's just like how you think that I'm a pipe dreamer when I start talking about my Raiders, but it's the same. It's the same concept. It's like, okay, you have about 3 out of the remaining of your schedule. You probably have 3, maybe 4, like legitimately hard games that you could lose all 3 or 4, but you're still going to make the playoffs. So then the question then becomes, okay, you're going to run into one of 2 teams. If I'm the Dallas
49ers,
Cowboys. The 49ers,
Philly,
or the Philadelphia. You're not going to run into both. You're
right, one or the other.
One or the other. So can you, as a Cowboy, let's say, prognosticator, a Cowboy fan, a Cowboy hopeful, can you finally beat Philly? Or can you finally beat
outside of injury? The answer is no. Unfortunately. Okay. Well, we haven't seen.
But that doesn't make them a pretender. They have a puncher's chance. You're saying it as though they have no chance in hell. They have a chance.
I would love to see Dak so he doesn't get crucified again, to just be one of these motherfuckers one time
in his whole life.
just so I don't have to hear about him getting crucified. So I'm cheering for them.
A. Smith on ESPN
talk that with bullshit with a cowboy hat looking like a jack.
Oh my God.
So yes, I feel you.
Okay.
But here's where the reality is. I don't know if they can. And that's why you got to put a team like the Lions ahead of Dallas in the contender or pretender realm.
Well, okay. You know what? I like the Lions. The Lions have done they've done the smart thing. They got the free agency and they got Gardner Johnson from Philly, who I think is a difference maker. I would just say he decided to hitch his wagon to the Lions because what he saw was, guess what? This offense is legit.
But here,
they do.
In the sake of time, because we're going a little bit long today because it's such a great week that we go a little bit long on great weeks. Tell me about the AFC.
Okay, so
who's your pretenders in the AFC?
Pretenders?
Because they got a whole lot of them.
Well, okay, so pretenders to me is Jacksonville.
Yep, ching, 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 ching.
I think Jacksonville they've proven themselves to be fake, and that's disappointing because I actually was expecting them to
step up, and their Mickey Mouse record thus far is due to a weak schedule, not due to them being good.
Another one that's probably a surprise. The Chargers. Chargers are fake.
Well, everybody sits over and jacks off to the Chargers, and then they never show up. So, yes, unequivocally, Chargers.
Chargers are fake, bro.
Fake.
They score a lot of points, but they don't do shit else.
Who else? But let me give you one.
Okay,
let me give you one.
Pittsburgh. Go ahead. Give it to me.
Pittsburgh. Who's 6-3. And let me tell you something. I love Tomlin.
You think they're fake?
Let me tell you why they're fake. Their offense is a stone cold.
Shots fired.
Their offense is a stone cold mystery. They have a quarterback that's never thrown multiple touchdowns in a game. They have an offensive coordinator that's absolutely egregious, who doesn't know what he's doing. They have a running back who
Tomlin's team?
Unfortunately, yes. But I got to keep it 100 here. That team
I damn near feel like I'm getting hit with shrapnel and I gotta block myself.
Tomlin's getting them there, and guess what happens? Tomlin's going to get them to the first round of the playoffs, and they're going to get mollywopped.
Okay, but to me, there's a difference between I make it to the playoffs and I get boo-bopped, and I am an imposter. How about this? How about I agree with you 1,000%, but Tomlin has found a way to put spit and duct tape and match it together and turn that team.
3.
That's my point they're 6-3. How in the holy hell are they 6-3?
Tomlin.
That means that they're not fake. He finds a way to take me and you and our drunk asses to go play for the Steelers, and then we be like this. And look, give me my helmet, clack. And then next thing you know, I'm over here trying to break my neck. But Tomlin, he's a genius.
Tomlin is a leader of men. But when what happens
that
is,
means they're not fake.
No, hold on. The organization is held on to an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that is an egregious mistake.
Egregious.
It's an egregious mistake.
With that egregious mistake makes them pretenders. The Bills.
Bills, yes.
Are pretenders.
Bills are pretenders.
Let's talk about some more pretenders. The Bengals.
Ooh.
Now, when you have an offense that good, a defense that good, but you're not getting it done.
Here's the funny thing about that. To me, this week is going to tell whether or not you're right or wrong.
They're going to lose to the Ravens. They always lose to the Ravens.
Now. Here's the funny thing.
Do you want to do some push-ups next week?
Because
if you wanted to bet, we can bet some push-ups.
Now, I might need to get in shape. But listen, I think that the Bengals are not a pretender. That you have the slim chance of
they're a contender.
Correct. I think that they're a contender because even though let's say they lost to Houston, right? And they lost to Houston at home. Joe Burrow is that dude. Listen,
are the Bengals going to make the playoffs?
Yes.
How many push-ups you want to bet?
I can't do more than 20 because I don't
So let's bet 25 because I want to see you struggle on the last 5. So let's bet 25 push-ups.
This motherfucker, right? Okay, fine. 25.
See, so guess what? On fantasy, I just have one name. You know, when you get to the end of the year, there are very few people that are out there percolating unless there's like a big injury, and there isn't. But what we do have is we have a player that's come and kind of just superseded the person that was in front of them to be great.
Yeah,
and
no
doubt. I think his name is Keaton Mitchell.
Ooh.
The running back for the Ravens is the person that these individuals need to pick up. For everybody out there, need to pick up for their waiver wire.
Yeah, I wish I did it.
Keaton Mitchell, I know. He is very, very strong. I picked him up. He's on my bench. He still scored 13 points last week and didn't even get a lot of run. And he actually outscored my starting one of my starting running backs. Keaton Mitchell is the deal. And guess what? DFS, this is nothing but DFS goodness coming up. You got the Lions against Chicago.
Yeah.
And you have
the Commanders against the Giants.
Those two games.
God.
Juicy. Did you guys see what Dak did to the Giants? He scored 41 points. Fucking gave me a winning week. So I would encourage everybody, if you're playing DFS, those 2 games, hit them hard, and we're going.
People that were out there and they were very upset, and myself included, they picked Jahan Dotson, and he didn't do jack shit.
I wouldn't have picked him.
Okay. Oh, you wouldn't have picked him. Okay,
you should have called me for that.
I know I should have, but okay. I digress. So what I would say is, okay, so the safer picks, whether or not Jahan Dotson gets the targets or not against the shitty New York Giants, you're probably the safest picks are the tight end.
Thomas.
You probably need to pick him. I've already said their gadget man is Samuels. Probably need to pick him. And then low key, first of all, you could pick anybody from that offense, but Gibson is their running back.
But they're the back. He's just number 2.
Yeah, but he's the third down back. And if I'm blowing a team out by, let's say, more than 3 touchdowns, guess who's going to get all the burn? The backup. The backup. So the third and fourth quarter is going to be.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Good stuff.
See?
So, hey, great shit. Boom. Church on the move. Appreciate y'all. Please like, subscribe, download, show us some love. But, man, what a phenomenal motherfucking week of NFL.
It was exciting,
action.
wasn't it?
And look forward to next week. Appreciate all of y'all.
All right, man. Church on the move, man. Hey, we did the damn thing.
Yes, we did.
We'll
see y'all next week.